Hello. So before I get into this video, let me just say something. So last week I recorded a really different kind of video where it was unedited, very raw, and I just wanted to kind of experiment with that and just chat with you guys. And I actually really enjoyed it. I felt it was a lot more connective for me and free-flowing and chill, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected. So that brings me to today's video. It's coming from similar origins, but it's gonna be a little bit more edited because I think that through the edit I can add more value to this video than I could to the previous video. But yeah, that brings me to where I am today, which is in a park not too far from my house, and there are actually like people around, obviously. And it's a lot more busy than the top of Girrawee National Park was last week. So it's a little bit more daunting to do it out here in front of people. There are definitely people looking at me. I'm literally sitting in the middle of a park. People probably judging me, but I mean, that's okay. They can do them and I'll do me. But otherwise, yeah, it's really nice sitting in the sun. And the reason for this is because I thought I was prepared, but this is the downsides of filming outside of my house, that sometimes I forget things, and wearing a shirt like this, I can't attach the lav nicely to it, so I usually use some sticky tape, and I forgot sticky tape. So I thought it would be best to give you better audio, which means I have to hold the mic rather than kind of like scratchy audio if I try to attach it. But yeah, I want to get into my topic for today, which I am extremely passionate about, and that is highly sensitive people and how I'm a highly sensitive person and what that means, what it's like living as a highly sensitive individual in this world, and just more about the topic. Before I stumbled across it, I had absolutely no idea what a highly sensitive person was. So I just kind of want to educate you more in case you are a highly sensitive person, or you know someone, or maybe you think you are, or you've never heard of it before. And yeah, I just find it really, really interesting. And yeah, I'll share more about that in this video. So to begin, I also have my laptop here because there are quite a few different things that I want to cover, and I want to actually make sure that this video is cohesive for you. So I do have some notes here if I look to my laptop. So I'll start with kind of my experience as a highly sensitive person growing up and not actually knowing that I was a highly sensitive person. I always knew that I was sensitive, I was emotional, and that I was different to a lot of my friends in this way. When I was younger, I probably under 12, I really interpreted it as a sign of weakness, and I thought I was a baby because I couldn't handle a lot of the things that my friends could handle. And I felt that as they were maturing into going out of a younger child into more of a tween or a early teenager, I felt like I was being left behind because they were maturing and I felt like I wasn't. And what I'm talking about is I have always, for example, movies. I've never been able to watch violent or scary or horror movies. I have never been able to stand them. And that goes from the very extreme, so the RMA rated films, to way down to even PG or M movies with violence or extreme sadness, or I just have never been able to handle it. And I thought that was because I was weak. I was a baby. I wasn't mature enough, and all my friends were stronger than me, and I was just this baby. I saw all of these things as such a massive sign of weakness, and I just couldn't wait to the day where I would finally reach that point where I would grow up and mature more and toughen up. And in this way, I had a very negative kind of connotation around my extreme emotion and highly sensitive nature, which, looking back on it now, sucks, because knowing everything that I do now, that shouldn't be the case. And yeah, I guess I'll get into that a bit as well. So we'll fast forward a bit and go to the day where I discovered that what a highly sensitive person was, or HSP as an abbreviation. I think it was about 3 years ago. This video just came up on my recommended on YouTube, and it was a TED Talk by a woman named Elena, and I think it's titled something like The Gentle Nature of a Highly Sensitive Person. And I think the word highly sensitive really caught my eye because I felt like I was that way. I felt like I wasn't just this normal, sensitive, emotional person. I always felt like I was on a whole nother spectrum. So I clicked on it without really knowing what to expect at all. And for the next 15 minutes of her TED Talk, I felt like I was being wrapped in the most soothing, warming hug of like happiness and comfort and just pure joy, because I felt like I finally understood myself. And this is not an exaggeration at all. I know it might sound that way, but I think when you grow up just generally not understanding why you are a certain way and thinking that everything that makes up who you are is just wrong, or it shouldn't be that way, or you wish it was the opposite, it's so incredibly liberating and just like a huge weight off your shoulders to find out that A, that's not true, and B, you're not alone. Like, I hadn't met anyone in my childhood, anyone through all of the extracurricular activities I was doing, any of my classmates, anyone at all who was as sensitive as I was. So I literally thought I was the only one. And just knowing that like there were other people out there like me and that there was a word for it was just, it just made me so incredibly happy. And as a general principle, I don't particularly like labels, and I don't like to label myself because I feel like it kind of puts you in a corner, and you have to feel and act a certain way that label kind of determines, or to fit nicely inside that little box with that label on top. So I happily acknowledge that I am a highly sensitive person, but it doesn't define me. And everyone, even in like the highly sensitive community, is different, and they're highly sensitive in a different way. So just because I can't watch violent or scary movies doesn't mean the next person that's highly sensitive can't either. So while I'm, for this video, using the label of highly sensitive person, I don't particularly, like, I'm not going to resonate with every single highly sensitive trait, and neither is anyone. And we're all going to be different in every way and every spectrum of each like trait of a highly sensitive person. So yeah, for this video, I will use the label of highly sensitive, but if you identify with that or not, just feel free to branch out. You're not the label of highly sensitive, even if you relate to some of the traits. So yeah, I just thought I would put that in there. Okay, so I think I would say now that if you are kind of identifying with anything that I've said, I would really recommend watching Elena's TED Talk. She explains everything so eloquently, and I think hopefully like you'll experience what I experienced, with just like a nice warm big hug of comfort and familiarity. So I've linked that TED Talk below, and I've also linked some other videos that I've watched over the years on a whole variety of different HSP related topics, like being in a relationship with an HSP, really positive attributes that come with being an HSP, or negative attributes, and just heaps of other little videos that I found to be really interesting and quite helpful as well over the years. So I've linked those below. So what is a highly sensitive person? in a more general term and not just related to how I'm a highly sensitive person? Well, I think Elena explains it really beautifully in her video.
What it is like to be highly sensitive. I invite you to imagine living with all of your senses on high alert. You also have a vivid inner world where all of your emotions are magnified. As sadness is a deep sorrow, and the joy is pure ecstasy. You also care beyond reason and empathize without limits. Imagine being in permanent osmosis with everything around you.
Even when I was younger, and before I knew anything about introversion or extroversion, I always knew that I was a quiet and more shy person. So when I first heard of HSP, and before I got to this part of the video where Elena talks about it, I figured that HSPs were kind of a branch within introversion. But what I found really interesting, and what Elena mentions in her talk, is that 30% of HSPs are actually extroverts as well. So again, like, even if you are going to use the label of extroversion or HSP, things don't always go hand in hand. So it's never as simple as a label determines it to be. So I found that really interesting. Like anything, when I saw this video, obviously I was really, really happy and felt kind of at home with the people in the comment section and just Elena herself, that she's also a highly sensitive person. But because my whole identity, I just thought was, I thought I was immature and I needed to grow up and toughen up. I was weak, I was a baby. You know, just because I found this video, my perception of myself didn't change overnight. And there were still traits that I really, really didn't like about myself. But researching and knowing more about HSPs and just generally taking notice of the really good things that come with being an HSP has really helped me over the years learn to seriously love and appreciate myself for everything that I have to offer. And I'm actually so grateful that I am an HSP, because it allows me to feel things so deeply. And I just count myself generally really lucky to be able to experience this world in such a vivid way. It's not always easy to be a highly sensitive person in this crazy world of overstimulation, and there's a lot of negativity in the world, but there's also a lot of positivity. So I'm grateful that I can see that positivity in such a beautiful and full way. Okay, so I guess I will finish this video up here. If you are a highly sensitive person, I just want to say that I see you, I feel you, I totally understand what you're feeling, and I love you. As I said, it's not always easy to navigate this world, but we are also extremely lucky to have this gift of high sensitivity. I am obviously very, very passionate about this topic. So if you'd like me to talk about it more in depth, more specific aspects, how I see the world, how I navigate it on a day-to-day basis, or anything else about high sensitivity, then please let me know in the comments. I would love to chat more about this, and I would love to help any fellow HSPs out there as well. So please feel free to comment or send me a DM on Instagram as well if you'd like to chat further. I upload new videos every Thursday, and I really, really cannot wait to see you on the next one. If you would like to send me a DM or follow me on Instagram, feel free at Lauren__hog. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found value in it, and yeah, I can't wait to see you next week. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.